All right, troops, welcome to the Action Lead. My name is Owen. Well, this is an unscheduled show tonight. We had no plans on doing one, but today we got the very sad news that the legend of action, Carl Weathers, has sadly passed away at the age of 76. And I thought, well, we can't let that go without paying tribute to him, because he was a great action star, but also just a nice person. But I'm not going to be alone tonight. Now, you may remember I've done some shows with him in the past, but tonight I'm bringing back Yuvian, who I haven't had on a show for a while. Hey, man, how are you?
Hey, what's up, pal? Thanks for having me. I mean, always good to talk to you. Such a
Oh, yeah.
sad occasion, though, today.
I know, yeah. I particularly like your poster in the background there for Action Jackson.
Yeah, had to. I mean, that was going to be my first one. I know everyone loves Predator. I love Predator, but Action Jackson, that was such a great one for him and starring vehicle. And then, yeah, I've got the blazer on tonight because he was always the most well-dressed, dapper, put-together guy you ever saw in real life. So
He was, yeah. And we've both met him, of course. And now I met him because of you. I mean, yeah, you're literally responsible for a lot of people I've met, like Van Damme as well. It was all you, so I appreciate that. Now, before I say like how I met him and everything, how were you like first introduced to Carl Weathers, and what did his movies like mean to you?
yeah, that's a good question. I can honestly, it's probably a Rocky movie, right? I mean, I get
Mhm.
timeline, right? Rocky 1 through 4. I really like Rocky 3 and 4 more than 1 and 2 in terms of just rewatchability and just kind of how kinetic they were, and just his parts, of course, how they evolved. And then Predator, of course, was just such a classic film all around. He's got a great part in that. And then yeah, for me, I'm just he was always just such a charismatic performer and just such a physical presence. I mean, he's such great shape in Predator, and he worked out with a pretty legendary guy named Vince Carano back in the day. So that was my introduction, just kind of my long term with him. How about you?
hmm Yeah, much the same. Watching the Rocky movies growing up, and Rocky 3 is actually my favorite one. It's like Rocky 3 and 4 are the ones I watch the most. I always think about what are the ones that I watch most often. And Rocky 3 because I loved Clubber Lang, and then Rocky
Mhm.
4 because it was Dolph. And Dolph did actually a nice tribute to him tonight. He's on Instagram, which you all should check out. There's been some lovely tributes flowing out actually. But yeah, Predator, of course, was a major one. And Predator, of course, one of all-time great action movies. It's like top 5 action movies of all time for me. I think it's one of the most quotable action movies, but also has probably one of the most iconic moments, which every action fan will know, which is the greatest handshake of all time ever put to film.
Yeah, the Predators. I mean, it was a buddy of mine texted me saying he thought it was funny that Arnold Schwarzenegger included that in his tribute to Carl Weathers Day. It was like, well, it's also one of the most iconic things of all time in movies, and so I
Mhm.
don't really think you can think of too many other handshakes where everyone knows what you're talking about. So
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, Predator is just a timeless classic, and I watch it like once every few months. It's just one of those films which is endlessly rewatchable, and I love Carl Weathers' character in it as well as Dylan.
that's right.
He was great, and just the sort of the. I'm trying to think of a nice way of saying dick measuring, but I'm just going to say, yeah,
Yeah, don't push
pushing
them any
the
pencils.
pencils. Yeah. So, but that's just the competitiveness between him and Arnie Dutch throughout the film, which I love as well. But it was really Action Jackson was sort of his first sort of major sort of starring role where he was like the lead. There were other ones, but this was one that sort of was going to become. We should have made him sort of a huge star, but I don't think it really quite did. And he just became sort of smaller movies. I don't know if that was by choice or not, or if.
Yeah, I mean, we showed. I mean, this was years ago when I first met him. We showed Predator and Action Jackson back to back, and those two have history in the sense of Joel Silver's involved, Craig Baxley, and so basically one led to the other one for sure. And that movie did well, but at the same time, I think that was the first movie from Lorimar, which was like predominantly I think a TV studio, and then so that movie did well, but then I think Lorimar got sold to this and that, and so just and just nothing came out of it.
Which is a shame because I mean, Action Jackson is a classic. I mean, Sharon Stone was in that, of course, because she always was in these sort of movies. I mean, she was in Above the Law or Nico, as it's called in the UK as
Yeah.
well, and she'd always play sort of the wife character or whatever in these sort of roles before she became a huge star herself. But yeah,
And
Action
actually,
Jackson.
Jackson, that's got a great cast because it's like Thomas Wilson from Back to the Future's in there, and Vanity, Craig T. Nelson's the bad guy in there. I mean, just a lot of people in that movie in general. Robert Davi, right? So just like that whole kind of '80s Richard Donner, Joel Silver. If you like movies back at that time, like they all had kind of the same supporting cast, which was great to see.
Oh yeah, these are just like all legends of 80s action, like Robert Davi. It's like, is it really an 80s action movie if Robert Davi isn't in it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was great himself, but yeah, the cast was great, and some great action, some great quotable one-liners as well. Like, "How do you like your ribs?" I mean,
Yeah.
we still say that to this day. Great action
Yep.
scenes as well. "I got to catch a cab." great car chase there and all that. So
then he jumps over the cab when it comes at him in the street and stuff. I mean, just like at that time, you know, like Baxley's such a king of action films and practical action, right? So just the practical action, the car chases. You know, he drives the car in the house at the end and everything. Just everything's
It's
great.
the golden age of the genre right there. That's just what I love. And so that was great. And then you followed up with just sort of kind of a sequel, but not quite, was Hurricane Smith as well. And that's good action as well, some good explosions as well, and that was good. And then there was also The Dangerous Passion, it was called, as well, with Billy D. Williams. So, you know, two legends right there.
Yeah, what a team up.
Yeah. And now I haven't seen that or Hurricane Smith in many years, but I'm going to rectify that soon because I want to do a couple of like tribute articles on the site over the coming days and revisit them. And as everyone knows who follows the website, theactionelite.com, in case you don't know, I have been sort of in a Hulk Hogan phase recently and talking about his movies, but I'm going to do a follow-up article soon on the Shadow Warriors movies, which of course had Carl Weathers was in.
He's got the chain gun in that one, so he's got like the mini gun in that one. Yeah, right.
Yeah, old Painless. Yeah,
old Painless. That's right.
Yeah.
No, because then what was I going to say about Action Jackson? I don't know. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. But yeah, and just going back, it's because of you that I got to meet him. And this was at the premiere for Jean-Claude Van Damme's Pound of Flesh, and that was, I think, 2015, wasn't it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's the last time I was in LA. I'll have to do another.
I was gonna say it's like that's the first time I ever met you, and then we've been friends ever since. So it's like the power of action films, right?
Exactly. Yeah, action movie bros. But yeah, because I remember I was there with my brother, and I'm very much an introvert. Like, it's not my thing to go up and introduce myself to people. I'm like, I'm just going to go stand in the corner behind this pillar, and no one will see me, and that'll be fine. But my brother Greg, I love you, Greg. Thank you so much for this, because he's the extrovert, and he, of course, you met him because he was with me, and he'd be like, no, and he says, there's Carl Weathers over there, Action Jackson's over there. He says, you will regret it the rest of your life if we don't go over and meet him. And I was like, I know. I said, but can you, like, you know, introduce me or something just to build me up so I have some confidence to speak to him. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, I got this. So we went over to him. My brother Greg was just like, hi, Mr. Weathers. My name is Greg Field. This is my brother Owen. He's like, oh, hi, guys. How are you? Good to meet you. Shook hands. He said, my brother runs a website, theactionelite.com. And it's like a love letter to like the classic action movies as a whole, particularly like the 80s and 90s. And he's a huge fan of yours. So we thought we wanted to come over and say hello. And maybe see if we get like a picture with you. And he said, oh yeah, he said, that's awesome. He said, yeah, guys, of course, happy to get a picture with you. So we got a picture and chatted for a second, and he was just everybody as cool and nice a gentleman as you could possibly want to be. Yep. And he was just amazing, and I was buzzing. And then like later that night, then I got to meet Jean-Claude Van Damme as well. So like, if I ever get married, that's gonna have to be a pretty spectacular wedding to top that night, gotta say.
That was a cool night, because that was right after we had done the Skin Trade premiere the night before with Dolph, and Jason Statham was there, and Tony Jaa was there. And so that very next night, you and I went to the Pound of Flesh premiere just as attendees for fun. And if you remember, Carl was staying next to Aki Along from The Quest and Missing in Action, that kind of stuff. And then Vladimir Kulich that night from 13th Warrior. You know, Charlie Sheen was in the audience of that night.
Vladimir Kulich was there.
Yeah, that's the first time I met him. He might have been with Matthias Hughes. I can't remember. Those two guys were pretty friendly, so I can't quite remember.
I've never met either of them in person. I've interviewed them, but I haven't met them in person. So I definitely got to do another trip soon, man. You got to bring Hollywood to me when I come.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Vladimir and Carl were neighbors in Venice for a long time. So basically, they had houses right next to each other. So the first time I met Carl Weathers was in Venice at this little coffee shop, and near his house. And then I was hanging out with Vlad at the same time as well. And then they'd always go to this place called the French Market Cafe. That was kind of in this little enclave of Venice near Gold's Gym and everything. So,
so how did you meet him? Did you just go up and start talking to him, or?
This was 2013-14. I just I had my blog. You and I had just met on the internet, kind of thing, and then I was just really interested in doing events. And I met Sheldon Lettich a couple times from Bloodsport and Double Impact, and then it was one of those things. My blog was going, and I wanted to do live events, and I walked up to Quentin Tarantino's theater, the New Beverly in LA, during one night, just said, hey, if I got Sheldon Lettich to do a Q&A for Bloodsport and Double Impact, would you be interested? And they said, yeah, sure. So we did that for 3 nights, and then from there, really just kind of kept going. And I met a couple of guys from the American Cinematheque and Beyond, which became Beyond Fest, Christian and Grant, and basically we got Dolph Lundgren, and then from there got Carl. And Carl, I just reached out to him. I reached out to his manager, I think, and just very just who the heck are you? Oh, I run a blog, this and that, and just we kind of went that way. And I remember the day I first talked to him, I was at work and I had just eaten a piece of chocolate. And then my phone rang, and it was his manager being like, "Hey, I've got Carl for him." Like, I'm like, "Oh," trying to choke down this chocolate, and like, "Yeah, hey man, how's it going?" And like I said, he just kind of and at that time, autograph shows, conventions, whatever, they weren't quite as popular as they are now. Like like Carl did a lot of conventions towards the end there, but at that time, I don't think he did a ton of them. And so basically, it was more just kind of like, what is this about? What are you trying to do? What's the whole vibe, that kind of thing. And so just pitched him like, I want to do a tribute to you and an evening with you, and do a Q&A, stuff like that. And he was into it. And yeah, we were in the Egyptian in Hollywood, and sold out 400, 500 seats, whatever, and had a very, it was like a Predator reunion, because like Craig Baxley was there, Mark Helfrich, the editor, was there, a bunch of guys from Stan Winston were there, Richard Chavez showed up, that kind of thing. So it was just it was a great night, and he was just just a classy guy, you know what I mean? And just doing his interview and that kind of thing. He stayed around and signed stuff for people for a while, that kind of thing. So just a cool dude,
Yeah, he was. And he was at the Fan Expo in Toronto a couple of years ago, and it was just after COVID, I think. It was like the first one, and we weren't quite ready to go back there. I ended up getting bronchitis the last time I was at a Fan Expo, so I was like, we were not in a huge rush to go back. And Carl was there, and a few cast members of The Mandalorian. And we missed it, unfortunately, and I will now regret it. But thank God I actually did meet him that time anyway, and I got a photo with him, and he was cool, and that was awesome. But it's a shame, because Ed would have loved to have met him, because I mean, we're huge Star Wars nerds. It's like our thing. So like seeing in The Mandalorian, I loved that as Grief Karga. And what was great about having him in The Mandalorian is that it sort of introduced him to younger fans who may not have seen like the Rocky films or Predator, and they're like, "Oh, who's this guy?" And you're like, "This is one of the greatest men ever lived."
And I think that's where Favreau came from, because basically, Carl directed a lot, and then basically he was the DGA, and Favreau and him met, I think, at a couple of events like that, and then basically, John Favreau loved Rocky, of course, and Apollo Creed, and so and end up getting the show there. And I thought that was really cool, because when I kept in touch with him just via email, I'd see him at events, over the years, that kind of stuff. He was always just super nice and everything. And there was one time he directed a play in Santa Monica, and just get an email saying, "Hey, I'm directing this play on these dates, come out if you can, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Okay, cool." We went and went and saw him and chatted with him and stuff, and we must have been on the same email thread, like with Sylvester Stallone, because Stallone went the next day. So it's like, damn it, we should have gone on Sunday, but yeah, just super, like I said, just like, and also physically still in great shape in his 60s and his 70s there. He had these huge hands, gave you a great big handshake, worked out at Gold's Gym all the time. So still just a physical presence.
Yeah, I remember that. That's why I was quite nervous to go up and actually speak to him, because I thought he looked like quite an intimidating presence. He was still jacked and everything, and I was like, he could snap me like a twig if I go over and talk to him. Maybe I shouldn't. That's
the thing with these guys. Yeah, him, Dolph, Stallone, Van Damme, they just have like these like gnarly hands from all the training they have done. You know what I'm saying? And so you shake it, and they just take over your hand.
I remember whenever we met Van Damme. We were at the Grove, I think it was, and it was the restaurant across from the theater. And like I told Van Damme that we'd come from Scotland to meet him, and that's when he went, "My friends," and he gave me a hug and lifted me off the ground. Pure muscle as well, and he was in like his 50s at the time, and I was like, "I'm tired going up the stairs." I was just so emasculated. I was like, "This sucks." But
that was a fun night, because they were on the carpet together at the Pound of Flesh premiere, and I remember they squared off and did the dukes at each other. So that was a good photo. So.
Yeah, put up your dukes. Yeah. So actually, I like your T-shirt as well.
Thank you.
Could see that there, which is kind of cool. So we got.
Oh wow! Look at you. Nice. I was in a bar. I was in Austin this past week wearing another Van Damme dancing shirt, and the bartender just kind of looked at me. He's like, "Kickboxer," and he literally did the dance for me at the bar.
I actually do want to learn to dance. I would do that sometime. Maybe I'll do that someday. I'll do it on a live stream. But I mean, Carl did have a great career, although he didn't, become sort of a huge star like Arnold and Stallone or whatever. He still has some great pictures. Like I said, Action Jackson, I think, was the big one that he was known for to most action fans, and then for like a diehard fans, it was like Hurricane Smith and whatever.
But going back to what you were saying, just he mentioned like he had cut a pretty large swath in the sense of he had done these action, like Rocky, of course, is its own thing. It's it's a mega franchise. Everyone knows what Rocky is, right? And then into Predator. Predator is such a classic of that genre, and of course did really well at the time in its own franchise. And then of course, he was what was that show? Arrested Development, and then Happy Gilmore, and then of course, like I said, towards his, in the later age there with Mandalorian. So just just present through a lot of time. So.
Yeah, he was in Toy Story movies as well. I think
that's right, Toy Story. Combat Carl. That's right.
That's right. Yeah. So and then there was a movie, I can't remember what the movie was called, but he was President Weathers, and I was like, damn it, he should have been president.
Yeah,
He'd
that's
have
a
been
good
great.
one.
I would have voted for him. But yeah, no, it's sad because we've reached that sort of stage where the people that we grew up watching, all our action heroes, are starting to get older and to pass on. So it's important to just sort of pay tribute to them and make sure their legacy lives on. And Carl Weathers did some really entertaining movies, and the Rocky movies, and like Apollo Creed is one of the most iconic characters of all
Oh, yeah.
time. And once again, like the recent Creed movies will have made him more relevant to like the modern audience, and they're like, oh, who's Apollo Creed? I'm going to go back and watch the original Rocky films.
Yeah.
And Apollo Creed was such a great character too, because like he starts out, essentially the villain or the heel, basically in the first movie and sort of the second one as well. But then they become friends, and then I love it becomes this trainer, and they become like
Yeah.
best friends. And it's going to be really tough to watch Rocky 4 now.
Yeah, yeah, it's very true. I mean, because I mean, like I said, Rocky 3. I mean, he's such a turns it around, everything like that, and he's always at the angle, and just I mean, what a great character, but also what a great performance, right? Just just such a boastful guy, and but also felt real. And then after he has, even though he wins that first fight in Rocky 1, everyone says like you lost, and like, he has something to come back to too. So he has a great character arc through those 4 movies. And then part 3 with him as a trainer, like what a nice turn, right? And just there is no tomorrow, and what's the matter with you? And of course, the running scene on the beach is one of the great scenes of history of as well. So
of course, yeah, it's iconic, yeah. But yeah, I mean, Rocky 3, I love. It's like Rocky 3 and 4 are the ones I watch the most. And because I love the relationship between Rocky and Apollo. And Stallone has said recently that he regretted killing off Apollo, and that he wished that he hadn't killed him. And I thought, yeah, even if they just maybe he'd been beaten unconscious or something, rather than that might have been better. Did you ever see the director's cut of Rocky 4?
I was actually just going to bring that up because he gets some nice scenes in that one. Yeah, some nice extra parts in that form. And then of course he in that fight with Drago, Apollo does a little bit better, right? It's not so one-sided like it is in the theatrical cut. So I love that director's cut.
Yeah. Do you think it's the better version than the theatrical?
I mean, it's definitely richer, but I guess it's one of those things I have not watched that. If I've seen Rocky 4 1,000 times, I've only seen that director's cut once. So it's a little hard to say, right? I was concerned. I remember when Stallone was editing it, I think he was talking about taking some of the 80s out of it. I'm like, is he going to take out the music and the montages, or what does that mean? So I'm glad he did.
Yeah. It's just the robot thing he took out, which some people, there was an uproar about that at the time, but really, let's face it, was that really a terrible idea? So, but his stuff in the Mandalorian was great. I love him as Grief Karga because he in the first couple of episodes, you're not quite sure. He's the head of the Bounty Hunters Guild, but you're like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Or whatever. And then he ends up like having this big shootout with Mando in the 3rd episode. But and I love how there's a little reference to Fistful of Dollars. I think it is, or Good, Bad, and the Ugly, where he's got the Beskar there when Mando shoots him. He gets shot, but the Beskar keeps him alive. So that was really cool. And then, of course, he becomes one of his best allies. And I gotta say, Lucasfilm haven't had the best luck over the past year because we lost Ray Stevenson recently as well, who stole the show in Ahsoka. And then Carl too. So they got
it's like you said, it's like one of those things. Yeah, you kind of forget these people have been around. I mean, Rocky 1 was in the 70s, right? I mean,
76.
You look at the jokes of just 30 years ago, you think was the 90s or something like that, but was whatever. It's like all those kind of things. But what a career, you know what I mean? And so just like, and then the fact that he directed some episodes too, and just with him, still being such a presence, so he just like brought class to it, you know what I mean? Like you felt his presence in those episodes.
Yeah, no, he was just a cool guy on screen and off screen. And I hope people go back and watch some of the movies. I'm seeing some wonderful tributes on Facebook. Just from my friends, and then even fans of the Action Leader commenting, and they're saying, "I can't believe it," because he meant so much to their childhood.
And that's the thing. I was talking about walking. For me, I will watch Action Jackson and Rocky 3 this weekend, and so people are like, "What about Predator?" It's like you said, I watch Predator when I'm washing the dishes. You know what I'm saying? It's never far.
It's always on.
So that one's but. Like I said, Action Jackson, like we were saying, just that one just being his starring vehicle. I mean, look, got the poster back here, like him, and then him just, even now he's like from Harvard and he's a lawyer, but he's also a cop, and he, doesn't use a gun a lot, and so just interesting character. Now something that he helped with. He was very creative, and helped flesh out his character for Predator, for Action Jackson, for whatever he did, and so just he had a sense of himself, and he went for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and I love that he directed a few episodes of The Mandalorian as well. So
Yeah.
he was an actor and director, and he even like was nominated for awards. I think he won. Did he win an Emmy? I think, or was at least nominated for an
He
Emmy
was
for The
nominated
Mandalorian.
for a guest
Yeah,
starring role in Emmy. Yeah.
yeah, which is great. So that's a huge loss for the Mandoverse, definitely, because Grief Karga is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
And just anytime he was on screen, larger than life presence. And I just love that they brought him back, and there's like, some references and things every now and again, very subtly, but
and like you said too, just you never quite knew. He always has an angle, right? He's not just a pure good guy or bad guy, and so he has helped Mando. He has not helped him before, and so you kind of like, which way is he going to go? But in the end, you kind of knew he was going to do the right thing, of course. But that's nice to have a little bit of edge to the character too.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to rewatch. It's been years since I've watched Hurricane Smith, so I'm going to give that a watch and then do a piece on that in the next few days, and then I'm going to do some Shadow Warriors ones too, and catch up on.
We were just talking about, what was this TV show? Street Justice. That was a good show
Street
too.
Justice. Yeah, Street Justice. I've heard people talking about that. I remember seeing a few episodes of it, but I didn't see all of it.
It's a good 90s show. It's one of those things where you watch and you just wonder if he got beat up, because basically, he's like running around in tight jeans and cowboy boots and doing fight scenes. And, those shows do not have a long schedule, so you just kind of wonder, did he get beat up physically on that show for 2 seasons or not? So.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh, here's J-Man joining us.
All right.
I always forget you're an admin, G-Man, and you can come in anytime you like.
and I might be bringing someone along with me right now, because me and Sean just finished my stream, so I tried to quickly get an invite to him, so I think he got it in time, so hopefully he can pop in.
Okay, I don't think you've spoken to Yuvian before, have you?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I like your background, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll give you. We'll do a tour one time and go through everything.
Yeah, J-Man has like this best room. It's like Narnia or something. It is the most amazing room you'll ever see. So, so we're just talking about some of our favorite Carl Weathers movies. Because we know it was like absolutely devastated to hear that news. It came out of nowhere. Like
it was shocking. Actually, it was actually David J. Moore texted me just saying Carl Weathers. I thought he was missing a photo. I thought, I was like, did you see him? And then a quick Google search, and oh no, and yeah, shocking. I mean, just shocking that he passed away. I mean, 76. Like I said, legendary run, and sounds like he died peacefully in his sleep. So there's solace on that as well. So
the thing was, me and Ed were saying that is that it was in the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. He had like the black beard and everything, and he was looking great. And in the 3rd season, he was white haired and everything. And we just thought that we thought, are they aging the character or is he not well? And I remember we were discussing that at the time. And of course, it ends up that he was on. We don't know, how he or why he passed away, but he just did. So it doesn't matter how he died. We just like to, as I say, like to remember how he lived. So But
Action Jackson, which is I love it with Vanity and all that. And it was funny because. So Action Jackson, I had on VHS, and me and Sean were watching. We hadn't watched in a while, and another friend who doesn't want to be named on camera was there with us. The 3 of us are watching Action Jackson on VHS or something. I'm like, literally like 15 minutes, and I'm like, how do I not own this on DVD at this point? I'm like, so literally, I'm like, I gotta order this now. I gotta order it while we're watching it to upgrade the movie. And it was so funny because we just reviewed Die Another Day on your channel there, on the channel, Owen. And they're driving up the thing, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's Action Jackson!" They're driving up the stairs. Bastards, you took that from Action Jackson.
Yeah, everyone criticizes Action Jackson for that, but I was disappointed with all the mainstream reporters. They never mention Action Jackson, and I know it might be lowbrow, but it's a starring performance.
Yeah, right? We love it, man. Yeah, I mean, Yuvian's poster behind him. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I would say that was one regret I had. So basically, before you guys jumped on, we're talking about, we hosted a Carl Weathers night where we showed Predator and Action Jackson. Had a bunch of people from the cast and crew there, and I actually gave out a sign, like basically everyone who was there as a guest, like signed a VHS, and we gave it out as a prize. And I had this poster in the lobby, that kind of thing. Everyone's next to it taking photos, but I never got anything signed for myself, right? I never got like the cast and crew to sign my Action Jackson poster. So definitely. But hey, like I said. I have a screenshot of missed calls from Carl Weathers and stuff like that on my phone, so I always have those memories and stuff.
Oh, I got to get that poster. I'm going to check my poster. There's a poster warehouse. I don't know where you're at.
He's in LA.
Oh, LA. Oh, okay. So yeah, I was going to say 20 minutes from my house. There's a movie poster warehouse. They have a website.
I need to go there because I want a beekeeper poster. Because I'm gonna.
Yep, they've got the beekeeper poster. I checked that like immediately.
Yeah,
that was like the first thing I checked.
I think maybe beekeeper and Action Jackson posters might.
Yes,
I want to refresh the background.
I'm gonna beat you to it because if there's only one left, I might have to beat you to it.
We'll just have Mortal Kombat in the store, and whoever wins, then
there's a high probability. Sean has been witness to my underhanded tactics to get stuff.
Not for the greatest movie either. It's like I had what was it?
Nemesis 4.
Nemesis 4 in my hand, and I went to Jim and I was like, "Oh, look, they have Nemesis 4," and he took it out of my hand and went right to the cashier and bought it. And I was like, "What the hell just happened?"
Well, you lost Nemesis 4. That's what happened. You lost Nemesis 4. That's that. What do you think happened here, buddy? We can't be messing around. Hey, Grandma Tron, what's going on, buddy?
Damn fool accused you of being the best.
Yeah.
I mean, Predator, man. I mean, Predator. As we were saying earlier, greatest movie handshake of all time. Yeah.
Yeah. And that great credit sequence as well. And Predator's a funny movie. They play that in LA a lot. And whenever they do, I'll get like 10 people to go see it. So it's just one of my proudest achievements that I've seen. Predator, Predator 2, Predators, The Predator, whatever. Like every time there's a Predator movie in theaters, like 10 of us will go see it just because that's the franchise, right? And yeah, Predator 1, of course, we've seen half a dozen times.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, yeah, and he was so good in that too. I mean, he is like a cool, like it's tough when you lose like a guy who's like, he seems like a cool guy in real life, and then he's like a super cool guy in the movies as well.
He lives up and exceeds all your expectations in real life. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that some people and I love all of these, I love all the guys, but sometimes you hear like, well, this guy's kind of rude or whatever. Mm-hmm. And which I don't really hold it against anybody. I don't care what someone's like in real life. If someone's an a-hole in real life, it doesn't affect my love of the characters in the films. That doesn't, even today with some of the actors. But it's always great when the person is a cool guy and you like them, and then it just makes it just like levels them up even more. So that's always cool.
I think he was just a super confident, tough dude. Because like Stallone told that story about how he came to the auditions for Rocky, feel like being cocky and arrogant. And he said something about how it's like, oh, I'm gonna wipe the floor with the guy who's playing Rocky or whatever. And then they're like, yeah, we need this guy to play Apollo Creed. So he said
something like he could do a better audition with a real actor. And
oh man, that is so good.
That'll put anyone's ego in check, I think.
His smaller roles are interesting. Like I forgot he was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Yeah. And he's in Magnum Force too.
Yeah,
he's Magnum Force.
Yeah, a very small role.
And then as he got more, because like post Rocky, he was in what, the Force 10 from Navarone. He's in Death Hunt. Like he's in some movies with some legends as well, right? So like we were saying, Action Jackson was that starring role for him. So it's a shame that more people aren't talking about it, just because. But like we were saying, it wasn't a hit like Predator was, or Rocky. Let's say that.
I've never seen Hurricane Smith. Has anyone seen that?
I have years ago because we were talking about, but it's hard to sort of find here these days.
It's a European movie, no?
Let me see if I can find it. Well, at least I can loan it to you.
Is it at Movie Warehouse?
Yeah. Oh gosh, we used to have another place where when a video rental store closed, they would come and pick up all of the VHS tapes. So I went. I mean, literally everyone despises me. Like I had every Van Damme, every Dolph Lundgren, like Action Jackson. They were all like $2, all on VHS. Now this is VHS, but
it's really the best format.
I had them all. Like, and then I'm a horror movie guy, so this is all just horror. So it's like all the Evil Deads, all the basket cases. It's like weird movies, like all of Henenlotter's movies. Like it's like all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. It's like all the Friday 13s. It's like I got Ghost Town, the Charles Band movie. It's like which is I have a poster of behind me over there.
That's a great poster. I always love that poster.
That is an awesome poster, and it's like, and it's all so cheap, and you're like, what the heck? It's like I got They Live, Supergirl, and which I love, and Assault on Precinct 13 for like $20, nice. Like all three of them. and that's $20 Canadian. So in LA money, that's like $10 or something. It's like it is crazy, but yeah, those are the days, man. Now you just go on. It's not as fun clicking on.
Play for the BC Lions. Yeah.
Right.
He was. Yeah, I mean, he was an athlete, and played ball in college, played professional football for a little bit there, Canadian League, and then but was also a theater major, so kind of an interesting mix, right? That he just kind of came out of college, went to play professional sports, didn't quite work out for him, and fell back on his creative arts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually forgot that he did the theater. So they're saying that just before you guys came on that he invited you even to watch one of his theater productions, and then Stallone showed up the next day. Like,
yeah. So,
have you ever met Stallone?
I shook his hand at the Expendables 2 premiere. That's about it.
Oh, and that's the best Expendables movie too.
It is. And then I was there for Van Damme, but Stallone's a close second. So.
Yeah, and just for your shirt, buddy. got that set up for you right there. I do all the background effects and let Owen runs the production, and I'll do like
and he's like the techie guy in the background, so he's my Theo.
Wait, Sean, did you talk about your favorite Carl Weathers performances yet?
No. Well, I mean, it's got to be Apollo Creed. We were just talking about this on the other stream. My favorite scene. He doesn't say a lot in this scene, but my favorite scene in Rocky 2 is when his trainer is telling him, like, I saw you beat this man like I've never seen a man being beaten before, and a man kept coming. Like, we don't need a man in our lives, baby. And then Carl just like looks at him for a pause. He goes, noted, or something like that. And it's like he did such a great job with that role. It's not just walking through the performance. He conveys all sorts of, like in part 2, he's just like mad all the time and determined. But in Rocky 1, it's like he's like he's basically playing like a Muhammad Ali, basically.
Yeah.
Like all confident with the suit and tie and everything, and giving the kids the advice and all that stuff, and he's all laid back. And in part 2, he's like super obsessed with like destroying Rocky. And then 3 and 4 are sort of like the cartoon type movies, but I love them.
They're our favorites. We were saying 3 and 4 are our 2 favorites. Yeah.
But he has he has the reverse arc. The Rocky movies, they're great. Oh, okay, thanks. No, but like every character, but seriously though, everybody has this awesome arc of some kind, because Carl Weathers has the reverse. He starts and then he goes down, and then and then he's like, look, I gotta man up, and the manly thing to do is to shake your hand and let's join forces, because this Clubber guy's crazy. But then Clubber Lang, we just talked about this on my stream with Clubber Lang is Rocky, right? Like he's like, I got nobody. I'm gonna train, and I've got the eye of the tiger. I'm hungry for it, and you're just a paper champion or whatever. So everybody has some kind of arc, even the side characters. Like Apollo Creed doesn't need to have a character, because he's just an obstacle for Rocky in the film. But to give him this character, and for part 2 to make him even more pumped up, is really cool. Like, I don't know how that went. I don't know what the making of the Rocky movies are. Like, why was that decided? Like, who decided to say, hey, you know what? This Apollo guy is pretty good. Maybe we keep him on. And it's sad. When he dies in part 4, I don't know how old I was when that came out, but I was like, F this movie. Like, well, this is bullshit. Like,
and then he twitches too. And so because he sells it so like he hits the ground, you see him like twitch on the ground.
Yes,
it's kind of horrifying.
It's horrifying.
We were just saying
Drago's the best.
I will say, like, so my mom's from Guyana. I've only been there twice. The last time I was there, I was 11. So it's 88 around there. And they were playing, so they would play movies there, and they played Action Jackson. And so my cousins were in their mid-teens, and there's 2 boys. And so one of them saw it and was telling us the story of Action Jackson that night. And he's like, and he's acting out and everything. And then he's like, he's on the car. And he's like, he's on the car and stuff and all that stuff. So it was huge there. I remember it being like, everyone was talking about this, because it's sort of like in all the villages, people have nothing else to do. And they're talking about the latest movie at the movie palace. And so I went to I saw Action Jackson in Guyana with one of my cousins, and the whole crowd loved it. They was like, it's not like sedate like it is here. Like people just watch the movie and that's it. Like people are screaming, it's like go get them and like freaking out and stuff. It was an awesome experience. And yeah, Action Jackson is near and dear to my heart. I know a lot of people think it's like a cheesy, dumb action thing, but it celebrates the lunacy. It's like you can't really drive a car up the stairs, but you can in that world, right?
I've tried it and it works. So yeah. I've confirmed. And Vanity's the best. Let's face the facts. Oh my god.
She was also taken from us too soon as well.
Yes, she was. Yeah. And she's from Niagara Falls, I think. So just
is she?
I think so. I watched a lot of Vanity stuff, like I whatever, just because The Last Dragon. I think after that, everyone's like, "Ooh, Vanity, who's this?" Yeah. And then like Nasty Girls and all that stuff. But
I think it also speaks just to the power of action films. I think that's the thing, right? It's like it's always the joke of I think Van Damme said a joke is different in France than it is in Italy than it is in London, but a punch in the face is a punch in the face, right? And so these movies just traveled, right? And I remember. Right. I was coming home from a screening of First Blood. My Uber driver was like, well, what'd you see? What are you doing? I said, I saw First Blood. And he goes, oh, you don't understand. I'm from Russia. Action movies, Levi's jeans, rock and roll, like brought down the wall. Like, you just don't understand. And so I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like this point here. Yeah. In Predator, that handshake that shook the world was such a small scene, but he was maybe the first guy on screen who gave Arnie a run for his money. Yeah, just that scene. You had to have charisma coming out of every pore to match Dutch in that scene, and he did. Yeah, because Arnie comes in with the swagger and the confidence, with the shades and the cigar. And I was like, "There's nobody cooler than Arnie," and maybe Carl Weathers, and it's just awesome.
John McTiernan said that. He basically said, I needed someone. He said Carlos was just a damn good actor. I need someone who could, basically raise Arnold's game, right? Because Arnold had done some good movies already, of course. But Commando and Predator are two different kinds of films, right? The execution and kind of in their themes. So Predator was such a step up, and I think having that strong cast around him, especially someone like Carl, really helped Arnold too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Predator is definitely what we were saying. It's like probably top 5 action movies of all time. I mean, it's pretty much full.
I guess for just J-Man or Sean, we were just talking about like, what are you going to watch to tribute Carl Weathers? And I said I'm not going to watch Predator because like I watch it all the time anyway, just hanging out watching.
Hurricane Smith. I want to find
that. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing. For me, Action Jackson, because that's clearly like he's the clear awesome guy. It's his movie. Predator. Yeah. I actually like everybody in
it's one of the best.
Predator's a weird movie. Like everybody is kind of cool and has a thing, and they always say this for like superhero. That's Sean and I's business as superheroes. But like they always say, oh, there's too many characters. Yeah, but they don't know how to write anybody. You don't need much dialogue to convey a character and make them awesome. Predator. I remember everybody's like, oh yeah, that guy's awesome. And I don't remember their names. Look, I saw that whenever I don't know how old I was, and I'm like, I know Schwarzenegger obviously, but I'm like, yeah, that guy's cool. And Apollo, I just thought, it's like Apollo's cool. All these guys, whatever, all these guys are cool. And you're like, yeah, they're all cool. And I never thought, hey, this guy isn't developed. And when any of them died, I was like, oh man, that guy's dead. That guy was cool, man. What the shit? And then as a kid, you started thinking like, we're talking like, I don't think anyone's making out of like. I think they're all dying in this, and then you come to that, and they're like, "No, Jesse the." They're not killing Jesse the Body though. That's guaranteed. He's making it through. And you're like, "Shit!" They kill Jesse the Body. Sean, you're a wrestling guy. You're like, "F this." You're like, "F this Predator." This thing is dead. I'm done with it. So
that is. With Predator being how they carried that off, right? In the sense of. Like you said, all the characters could be like in their own little movies themselves, right? And then together they're great. And it's just like a Magnificent Seven or a Great Escape. You have these great characters and an ensemble, like more, a lot more thought out than Expendables 3, let's say. And then
that wouldn't be hard.
But just what a classic in that sense. But also, I think what makes Predator so classic is you have these super just hyper masculine dudes, armed to the teeth, trained, and then you don't know if they're gonna make it, right? And so I think it makes it so classic still. Yes. And for me, something like Prey was really well done, but here's this young teenage girl who keeps getting knocked out, and the Predator just killed a bear, and then she's gonna kill the Predator when the Predator killed this whole special forces team. Like I just don't, it just doesn't quite compute.
Why are you not on Dude, I need backup on these things. Where's this? Oh, and where's this guy? How come this guy never comes on when I need the backup?
If you're free Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock our time, you can come on.
Because you guys start too early for me. I'm on the West Coast, so 5 o'clock.
Oh yeah. No, I had this massive argument with these people. I'm like, stop it. And they're like, what if the Predator was in the samurai? And it's like, well, then he'd kill all the samurai. Well, what if the Predator was fighting in the Old West? Then he'd kill all the cowboys. It's like he would kill everybody. If in Predator in Prey, I said, what if he had killed one of the natives and blue blood came out of their skin? And you'd be like, wait a minute, this isn't Earth. These are natives on this is a native planet on a different planet, and then slowly show that they've got maybe extra strength. Maybe they're a little quicker. Maybe they can jump a little higher, and just make them a little bit above, like maybe a Captain America, not like super strong, but and then it's like, wow, that's a challenge. But if you make them natives of our time, I'm like, well, the Predator's going to slaughter them like nothing. Like unless you make the Predator a loser, which they had to do.
Because they end up killing himself, shooting himself.
I like that girl. I thought that girl was pretty solid. The cinematography is solid.
Yeah,
it's a good looking picture. It looks good. I like that. I was like, oh, I like this girl. She's pretty cool. She's kind of badass. It's like, yeah, but the Predator sucks. I'm like, yeah, but now the Predator sucks. If Dutch and Dylan and all these guys, Duke, whatever, if they can't win, then no one can win. Danny Glover, just by the skin of his friggin' teeth, and Danny Glover's a huge man too, by the skin of his teeth, just barely. The guy's bloodied up dead. He's like, oh, it's like and then he's like, okay, who's next? Come on, that's a great line.
Yeah.
But barely wins, and that's with prior knowledge. Now he had the advantage of knowledge against the monster, and then anyways, I don't want to. I don't want to sideline it.
I'm a staunch defender of Predator 2 as well, just because it tells its own story, right? You have another great cast. Yeah, just like a great cast of characters in there, great actors playing them, and just it tells its own story, right? It's not just because Predators, it's like half a remake, half a whatever, and then it's just and then the Predator, and I enjoyed the Predator, don't get me wrong, and then Alien versus Predator, it's just like none of them have the classicness of part one for sure.
Yeah, I got to move you up, man. You're talking good stuff. I got to move you up on this. I forgot I can control that.
Alex is actually asking you here. Does you even have any info on why we never saw a sequel to Action Jackson?
Good question.
It wasn't really.
That's a good question. I think probably just financially, because I mean, basically, when we talked to Carl and Craig Baxley about Action Jackson, it was literally just Joel Silver was like, "Look, man, you guys." It was like Action Jackson was a joke on set. There was some guy on set who just said something just like, "I'm in like Action Jackson," and they're like, "Oh, that's a great title." And then basically they hired some writers to come up with a concept, and Carl, had some input and stuff, and they literally just, I think, called Carl to someone's house, like, hey, look, we're going to make this movie. You're going to be in it, and Craig's going to direct it. And they're like, okay, we're off and running. We've got money from Lorimar. We're going to go do it. And I think it was just kind of that easy at that time. But I'm guessing a sequel just, like I said, the movie I think made like $20 million, and I think Commando made 30, Predator made like 60. This making 20 on, it just wasn't a huge hit, right? And it was kind of pre. We're not quite in the VHS sequels era yet. So maybe if it had come out closer to that, maybe you could have got a direct-to-video sequel if you would have been up for it. But I think maybe just like I said at that time, I think Lorimar had financial issues pretty soon after. So
yeah, that would
explain it. Wikipedia says it made $65 million. I don't know what that how that is in 1988. Like, I mean, obviously Batman was the killer of like 89 or whatever. So I don't know
what. It sounds like a hit. I don't know what's the budget for it.
For Action Jackson or Predator?
It says $7 million on Action Jackson, which is like, I mean,
like I said, which isn't a ton. I mean, basically, you got to think something like Predator cost like 20 something million at that time. The year before, Die Hard, cost like probably 25 million or something like that. And this one coming in at 7, But how much bang for your buck you got from Craig Baxley? So
that's great. Yeah, that is really good. I think a lot of these smaller movies, like like Saw. And like some of the, and like even like, well, Terrifier 2 was the big, Terrifier 2 is a massive hit because it cost $250,000 to make, and it made like a couple million, and you're like, well, hell yeah, or it made like I don't know how much, I can't remember what Terrifier 2 made, but I'm thinking like, wow, that's got to be a massive hit for these guys.
Oh wow, 20 million on an 8 million budget, and then another 45 million on VHS sales.
See, that's the thing. I mean, VHS was just the best. I mean, I recently got Action Jackson on Blu-ray, that special edition. It was a Kino did that or something. I can remember somebody did the version.
Yeah, they did a special. I think I just had the Warner Brothers Blu-ray, where it's just basic bare bones. Probably has a trailer on it, but nothing.
Yeah, I don't have this other. What are you talking about, Owen? Where's this other version that you get? Let me look that up. That's crazy. Was that when
I picked it up recently. I can't remember where I got it. It was like a new Blu-ray of it. Yeah.
Was it here or
was it? I got it at the. No, I got it here. I got it at the Fan Expo, I think, when we were there. I got that and a bunch of other things. So,
did you guys pre-order the Masters of the Universe special edition coming out?
Yes.
Oh, J-Man did.
Yeah. My entire life is based on my name. J-Man is based on He-Man. No, that name was given to me. But anyways, because I like He-Man. Yeah, no, I pre-ordered that sucker instantaneously. I was the first person. They sent me an email saying, "Wow, you're the first person who pre." No, I don't know. I pre-ordered it.
Speaking of which, if you can make it, so next week coming, we're celebrating 30 years of The Crow. But the week after that, we are discussing Masters of the Universe. So
let me know
the movies, and we'll maybe talk about the shows and everything as well. So
sure.
That was my first movie, and that was my first movie in theaters as a child. So
it's one I remember the most. Yeah. Greg took me to see it. I remember that, and I remember the childhood trauma of Transformers, the movie as well, and seeing that. Yeah. I've actually written a piece on that, which you have to post. So,
I'm waiting for Sean to get his copy. I ordered one for Sean. Stop it. Stop it.
I think if guide.
Yeah. I'm about to order the Conan thing because I was waiting to get paid, and I got paid today. So that Conan 4K set, I've got to pick that up. It is still on the website.
Man. All three versions of Barbarian. I'm going to check the music right away because the Blu-ray, I had to buy the Hong Kong Blu-ray, which reinstated the scenes, but then the music was still messed up at the contemplation part where he's contemplating, or he's doing the after he comes back from the dead, he's swinging the sword and then he looks at his hand or whatever, because also Doom said the hand is mightier. The music is dialed down there. It's supposed to be higher, and they messed it up. The best version of Conan before you have this 4K is the DVD release of the whatever extended cut or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's the best version. Not even the Hong Kong Blu-ray is better than that. I mean, the quality is better, but it's not intact. So hopefully this 4K has it all. If it's not, I'm going to literally lose my mind. I'm waiting to have the perfect version.
Wait, Owen, I think if you can figure out how to, I don't know if you do giveaways, but we can figure out shipping. So when we did our Carl Weathers night, I had these shirts made special. So let's see.
Send one to me. Never mind giving them away. Give them to me.
Yeah, sure. But it was good. It was great. I made a bunch of T-shirts and gave them to a stack of Carl, and his sons were there and stuff like that. And so everyone's just wearing these shirts around for this event. So it was great.
Yeah, no, that would be great actually, because if you're in the States, you could send it to people in the States, because that's really where most of our audience is. We have some people in Toronto, but I think basically the people who watch us are me, Sean, J-Man, Stephen. I don't know if anybody else in Toronto.
No, that's true. You can check your audience to see where they're from. Mine is 99.9% male, and I think it's 90% US. I've got a few people. I was doing Bollywood reviews, so I do have some people in India watching. Very small percentage in Canada. Yeah, it's literally us.
Yeah, but I remember checking the Facebook stats for our page, and the place where my site is most popular on Facebook is Baghdad.
Wow.
Iraq. So people in the Middle East love their action movies. So good for you guys. Thank you for supporting the site.
That is true. I mean, Van Damme has a huge. I mean, it's like what we're talking about, just in terms of worldwide, whatever. It's like the Middle East. I mean, movies are huge there too. I mean, Van Damme's still a huge star in the Middle East. He hasn't even done a movie. I mean, what was Darkness of Man shot last year, so it hasn't come out yet. But I mean, the dude's still doing it.
Any word when that's coming out?
No, I'd heard just it seemed like it was coming out soon. I heard some screenings were going to come up maybe for the cast and crew, but I haven't heard anything since the beginning of the year here. So.
Oh, okay, because I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I gotta check. I own every Van Damme movie. There is. I might be missing one or two weird ones that I somehow missed. So I always have every year I gotta go back and look at his filmography and be like, did I miss this one?
I got asked that this week, what were my kind of gateways to Van Damme. I think I said if I was trying to get someone to become a Van Damme fan or just know who he was, I'd say Bloodsport, Universal Soldier, and Maximum Risk. Kind of give you the martial arts, the action, a little bit of the acting as well, and then but I don't know. Cyborg I never really got into, but
Hard Target is number one.
Hard Target.
But what's interesting is that I got rid of my Blu-ray of Sudden Death because they announced the 4K of it and still hasn't come out, and there's no word of it. And I was like, you guys going to release it or what?
And you have not learned from the I don't get rid of. First, I don't get rid of anything unless it's 100% for sure. I have it in my hand and it's equal. I gave away something once, and I'm like, oh my god, there was a trailer on that disc that wasn't. I gave away Memento. I'm never going to watch Memento in order, but the DVD had a feature where you could watch the movie as a linear story, which is actually very weird, and it actually doesn't make for a good movie because all of the surprises happen towards the end, which is the middle of the story. But I was like, yeah, but I like having that feature, and they didn't port it over. I was like, well, you guys suck, and then that pissed me right off, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And Sean's laughing because he doesn't get rid of anything. And in fact, and you know why Sean's really laughing? Here's the secret that nobody knows. Sean gets all of these. He's like that video store I mentioned when I came on that got all the reject copies. He's sitting there, he's like, oh, every time Steve's like, do you need anything? Yeah, Sean will take it. It's like, even if he has it, he just archives it in his little.
Yep. That's what happened.
Anyway, we kind of went off for various tangents there, as we always do. And
we can bring it back. Van Damme was in Predator for a minute, got fired. There's that great photo of Van Damme with his arm and Carl Weathers with his arm, which I thought was fake for such a long time.
So did I thought it looked fake.
Yeah, and then you find out that's real, right? And so and that was one of those things where when Carl and Craig Baxter were talking about Predator, the whole thing of Van Damme, got fired or broke the costume or whatever it was, and Joel Silver says, "You'll never work in this town again," and they joked like, he works too much now, So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in Arnold's autobiography, he mentions Predator, and Van Damme got fired because he said all he did was nothing was bitch and complain throughout the whole making of it. And he's like, I'm too hot in this suit. I want to have fight scenes.
There was a great oral history of Predator, and there's like 8 people who talk about what their story is of how Van Damme got fired. And one of them was something like Van Damme said, "I cannot do this. Kiss my balls," and he walked off.
I would believe that. That just sounds like Van Damme. Sorry, Sean, you're about to say something there.
No, I was gonna say any thoughts on, because I've always been impressed that Carl Weathers had a presence in comedy as well, and he was in like Happy Gilmore, but also like that whole you got a stew going.
We're talking about Arrested Development, right?
Yeah, everyone loves that, right?
We were talking about that, just like you said, like he had a great run in the sense of just different things too, right? I mean, he's in a legendary franchise, a big box office franchise with Rocky. He's in like a classic action movie with Predator, and then he goes on to do stuff like Happy Gilmore, and he has a Adam Sandler thing. What's the one? 8 Crazy Nights, the cartoon. I think he's in for like a hot second.
He's in
that cartoon.
So. Yeah, he played the croc-hating guy that he has a fake hand because a crocodile bit his hand off, and he's like obsessed with like killing crocodiles. In Happy Gilmore, so yeah.
I think he said that's the one he got. He got hurt on. He actually got if I remember correctly, something so when Happy gives him the head of the alligator, and he like falls out the window. Yeah. So I guess when Carl Weathers actually did that stunt, he hurt his back.
Oh,
and so that
messed bothered him for years.
So.
I remember hearing that. So yeah. Oh God, what other movies has he done that we haven't discussed?
Let's take a look at the.
We went through a bunch because I wanted to make sure I mentioned
Wikipedia already.
Because I know Ronnie had mentioned Hurricane Smith, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Dangerous Passion. I don't think I've actually seen that. But that's Billy D. Williams and Carl Weathers, and I was like, well, that's 2 of the coolest men ever.
Oh my God. I don't think I can handle that movie.
No, it's just too much awesome for one movie.
The same thing. He was on 2 seasons. Looks like of In the Heat of the Night. He was on Tour of Duty. Looks like. Has anyone seen Fortune Dane? Looks like that was a show in the 80s too.
Nope.
Let me see.
Before my time, I think.
Was that a
young thing?
No.
Oh yeah. Has anyone ever seen him on SNL?
No, he's on SNL.
I've never seen an episode of SNL.
No, I never liked it. I've seen clips to it.
He hosts SNL and he sings in his monologue. It's quite weird. Like it's funny because he goes for it and he goes for the whole thing. He sings in this really high pitched voice, but he sings this whole song in his monologue.
So is it true that they're going to use footage of him in Rocky Balboa, and then he wanted a role in it, and then Stallone's like, "We killed you though. We can't have a role."
I'd heard that.
Then they had to have a lookalike reenact some of the scenes or whatever.
When Stallone was doing those "Ain't It Cool" Q&As, he talked about that. I want to say, and he basically said, it's like he basically said, if you won't give me a role, blah blah blah, I'm gonna charge you X hundreds of thousands of dollars to use my likeness rights. And Stallone just kind of said, well, screw you or whatever. And I think that kind of put a split in their relationship for a little bit, right? Like they made up later, of course, but yeah. But the same thing, I think someone asked Carl Weathers, like, why aren't you an Expendable? He said, hey, look, Stallone just got to call me, but he never did, or something like that. So, you know, it's one of those things.
That bothers me to this day, and it bothers me that we're never going to get to see him, because I was like, the past 2 movies, the people you've wasted in these movies, and I'm always like, why is Carl Weathers not? Of all the people, I've always said Carl Weathers and Michael Dudikoff, people like that should have been in it, because they were stars in the 80s, and it was like, it was supposed to be a throwback to the 80s action movies, and I totally forgot that 4th movie. I don't know what the hell the 4th movie was.
It wasn't good.
No.
It was awful. Yeah, they forgot what that, it was supposed to be a celebration, and it was supposed to be fan service, and they could have just literally put a poll. I mean, it baffles me when you got the internet at your disposal. You could literally just put out polls saying, who do you want to see in the next one? And they even asked Van Damme in that famous interview where he's like, oh, why don't you get, Seagal? He goes, maybe he could lose a little bit of weight, come back in, and whatever he says, and it's like, get some of these guys in here. Like, that's what we want to see. I mean, I understand the story of Expendables 3. We talked about it, and 4 is awful. I understand what they're going for, but I want to see the guys. You have a couple of new guys to carry the torch, but then you got to have your classic guys coming together. And I like the idea that they get killed off. Like if you can't solidify a guy for multiple pictures, kill him off. He's in it.
They're the Expendables.
They're the Expendables. It should be like Suicide Squad, right? Like they die, then another guy comes in. It's like, okay, so Chuck Norris maybe dies in part 2, and then you got another guy come in. Whatever.
If you never have Chuck Norris die, that would be unacceptable.
That'd be unacceptable, but you're not going to get him back. So you at least have him go out in like a blaze of glory or something. I don't know, but whatever. Just get more guys in there that are guys we like. Well, Dudikoff can still do it, I suppose, if they're doing it.
I feel like he asked Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell said no. And then I'm trying to think, they got Mel Gibson. They got Wesley Snipes in there. Yeah. I feel like, from that era, I mean, they got Harrison Ford in there. So I think they kind of got all of those like 90s guys.
Yeah. The third one's a masterpiece in comparison to the fourth one.
Yeah. I mean, the third one's great. I mean, such a deep cast in that one. And so I would have loved, I mean, I think I'm surprised they didn't go after like Gerard Butler to be a villain, because he does movies with Millennium too, something like that. He could have fought Statham or something, but maybe he just would have cost too much. I don't know. Or even Nicolas Cage. I mean, but I don't know if the Stallone saw Nicolas Cage as kind of the end of an era, right? Because Stallone was the dude, and then guys like Nick Cage came up, and they're in action movies now. And so I don't know if he ever comment on that or not. But
did you speak to Carl at that movie premiere on? No, not really. I was mostly terrified, to be honest. I was so nervous. And it was Greg who introduced me, and I was sort of like, hello. And I was like super shy. Like now I'm more confident, and I definitely would have chatted more. But back then I was still quite nervous and not quite sure of myself. So when Greg introduced me to him, and we just talked to him for a few minutes. But then actually I remember the conversation ended because Aki Leong talked to me, and then we went over to the side, and he gave me his business card and said, "We'd love to talk to you sometime." And it was literally until just now that I forgot that I never did. Sorry, Aki. But
never too late.
No, exactly. He's still there, so that would be quite cool. And he was talking about because he was in Pound of Flesh, and he was in The Quest as well. You know who I'm talking about? Do you guys? You know him if you saw him?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's in everything.
Yeah. And I chatted to him for like 10 minutes.
Kind of going back to what you were saying at the very beginning, Owen, of just kind of, all these guys that we grew up watching, they're getting older. Of course, and we're all getting older too. But just kind of, it's one of those things of just people who you could meet. Like I saw Bill Paxton a few times before he died, but like I would have loved to have actually met him. Right? What a great actor, what a great personality, and died relatively young. And someone like Carl Weathers, who had a great run in 76, a great life. But it's one of those things, it just kind of makes you think, man, who do I want to see? Like, I'd love to see this person in person, or hear this person talk, or whatever, and also just your friends, you guys doing this kind of stuff and keeping in touch. It's important. Just, the memories you have of these guys, and the impact that comic books or movies had on you. Same for me. Like, my best friends from childhood we all like a lot of the same things in terms of movies and comics, and that's one of our, connections. And so it's like a reminder, right? Just reach out to people and say hi and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you just never know. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. But I mean, I remember going to my buddy's house growing up in Scotland, and I remember we watched First Blood and RoboCop all the time. And the kids today watch like Pixar and whatever movies. We didn't really watch it. I mean, I watched Star Chaser: Legend of Orrin. Do you remember that one?
Yep. We saw that in the theater. We just went through. Sean and I went and saw that again.
We saw it in a 3D movie theater here.
Nice.
Yeah, no, there weren't any kids movies in the 80s because they didn't make a lot of money. And so there were kids movies, but like Seer of Nim didn't make a lot of money, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
and then in the 90s onward, there's like Toy Story and everything else were blockbusters.
Yeah, I think it was like 90 or 80s. I'm thinking, you had like, I mean, you had Explorers, or you had Monster Squad, stuff like that.
Goonies, things like that.
Goonies,
yeah. It's like
so
swearing.
Yeah.
But like
they're a little bit edgier though.
Yeah.
I think people keep saying kids are smarter. That's a lie. And there's like, it's like they have zero entertainment, they have zero personality, they all like the same thing. We just talked about this. I just talked about this on another guy's thing. Literally, if you look at all the top whatever songs, they all literally have the same like 4 chords, or I don't remember. I'm not a music guy, so but he goes, if you actually analyze all the top whatever, he's like, they're all the same. Nothing sounds different. It's all kind of the same churned out stuff. And like I saw RoboCop. This is crazy. I saw RoboCop and Temple of Doom on the same day. We got a VHS. The one kid had the VHS machine, and we rented those 2 movies, and we're like, oh my God, this is the greatest day of our lives. And then I got Mad Max, like Road Warrior and Escape from New York on VHS the same day. And we watched those. We're like, we're thinking like, this is literally the greatest thing. And Escape from New York and Mad Max and Temple of Doom and RoboCop are all still in my top 20 favorite movies, decades later.
Yeah,
and kids are watching a bunch of garbage now. Like, oh, did you guys like that movie? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like super awful. And
those
this has nothing.
Kids, though. They had storybooks and stuff for them.
Yeah, they did. And I want to say,
I bought that Mad Max storybook that you're like, oh, you've never seen it before, but it was
I've never seen that
storybook.
That's crazy
for kids.
Yeah,
but I know those, like, because like Gremlins had toys. But
I do, and I saw that in the theater. My mom took me to Gremlins. So funny you said Gremlins. I was going to show that to my niece and nephew. My wife kind of previewed it. She's like, "Oh, you can't show that." I'm like, "Really?"
I mean, it's a dark movie.
It is dark. It is dark. I'm like, "Really?" I saw that in the theater.
That was my kids' movie when growing up.
Yeah,
was like,
my mom took me.
Yeah.
My mom's like, "Remember we thought?" She's like, "I took you to see Gremlins." Like, okay,
yeah.
Well, because you think like Richard Donner did Goonies and Lethal Weapon back to back. I think those both came out like within a year of each other. So it just like shows you just like the versatility, right? So
yeah.
Even Goonies is weird too. There's a lot like the ones that we're watching. They would not pass. You shall not pass.
The statue where it's like, oh
yes, and they glued it up like this way.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, my mom likes that statue. It's her favorite. Yeah. Her favorite. It's like,
because what's he say? Like, if he would have made you like that, you'd be pissing in your face.
Yeah, like it's but that's how kids talked. Right,
yeah.
Like and even Monster Squad is a bit edgier. Like he blows up.
Absolutely.
I love Monster Squad. It's Shane Black.
Yeah, I met
Brad Decker.
Yeah, and I met Decker and also the guy from Night of the Creeps. So I got him to sign my VHS of Night of the Creeps and Monster Squad, but the Night of the Creeps guy was there. I can't remember his name. The crippled guy in Night of the Creeps was also there, and I got him to sign as well. Yeah. Free. That was one free signatures. People just showed up to these cons and you watch movies together. I sat next to the tall man watching Phantasm 4. Never any stories.
This like I was saying to Owen earlier, it's like this thing with Carl Weathers we did, and like so we had 400 people, whatever it was, at a really famous movie theater in Hollywood, and he did a signing afterwards for like half an hour for free. He basically literally he kind of knew what he didn't want to sign because he knew people were just gonna flip to eBay or something like that. But
right.
I did that with him and with Dolph and some other people, and then I was saying to Owen earlier, just in kind of convention culture now, it's like you can make money doing that. I mean, people make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. So, Carl Weathers was doing conventions, probably a couple times, several times a year, and just getting flown around the world. And that's the value, right? And like the great thing about him being a Mandalorian again, just getting that pop again after such a long career.
Mm-hmm. I wish I would have been. They actually had him. I wonder if they still have it up. They had him on GalaxyCon, which is a virtual con where you can order the autographs and they'll personalize it or whatever you want. I just got Pam Grier from there just the other day. And what else did I get? What was the other one I just got? I got my Dolph Lundgren from there. And it's like, and they have him on the thing. Like right now it's like, so it's crazy. Like it is good that they can do something with that. But back in the day where you're just meeting people and all the Phantasm guys that got all their autographs for free. Like it's like pictures, everything. I remember Friday 13th, we met all the Jasons. Pamela, the mom, we had to pay $20. And I was thinking, $20? Like, what the heck? That's crazy. And I'm like, $20? It's like $100. Chevy Chase's photo op just went up on sale for Niagara Falls Comic Con. It's $200.
Yeah, no thanks. And he's probably going to cancel anyway, like he did the Fan Expo last year.
He did cancel. I still have Chevy.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, Jamie, you guys are Sean and Jamie, you're comic book guys. I mean, same thing. You could have gotten Jim Lee's Rob Liefeld signature for free back in the day, and now they can charge you $50 a signature or whatever.
And I did buy Rob Liefeld's a few times already. I just bought Last Blood a week ago.
Oh, nice. How was it?
I haven't got it yet. It's like,
okay. Okay, but yeah, like Liefeld's. I mean, I love Liefeld. I got some of his books on my wall here, and I've done the VIP stuff before. He's just so great to us fans. But like I said, just we live in this culture now. Like the people like us who watched all this or read all this, now we have jobs and money. We can buy our childhood back, right? And that's part of it, just like interacting with these people. So,
dude, okay, you need to come on. Okay, I'm the Rob defender. Everyone hates me on all my streams. They make fun of me all the time. I've been with Rob since day one. I got a Rob Liefeld comic box right here at my feet at all times. I can grab it. I've got reader copies of Brigade ready to go anytime I need to do reader copies right here. And it's like, and his podcast from day one, listen to it all, never miss it. I just started today. Today came out. Let's see.
Whenever I see Brigade #2, I'll pick it up just because it's like one of my favorite covers.
Yep, I've got that one right. I've got two of those. Yeah, it's like so. And the thing is, everyone always makes fun of like, but Rob Liefeld loves the fans. He's super cool to them, and he never calls them out on stuff. This does harken back. We can connect all of this stuff. These guys are appreciative and they want to do stuff. Like it's like Van Damme's like, I'll do a movie. He's like, it's like I'll do it. It's like if Hollywood calls, he's there. There's none of this. I don't know. I think like everyone's like, I don't feel like doing this anymore, or I'm done after this, or this. Like they're not hyped up to do anything, right? Like in the canon days. It's like one after another. You're like, is it gonna? Who am I getting this week? Is it gonna be a Norris film? Is it gonna be a Charles Bronson film? Like you don't know who you're gonna get, right? And it's like everyone just keeps pumping these out, and that made it a thing that gave you a fandom. Like what's his face, Timothy Chalamet? Like there's not going to be a fandom for that guy. I got nothing against him, but like I just said that because Sean beats him up all the time.
I'm sorry.
Sean
he has zero presence to me. So
anyways, I watch Wonka. It's awful. But
was it? I did not. It made good money. So yeah,
it's fine. Look, it's fine.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
you're hired.
Oh, you're super hired.
Actually, we forgot to mention. I can't believe we forgot to mention Death Hunt. Where he plays
with Bronson and Lee Marvin.
Bronson. Yeah, Bronson, Lee Marvin, and Carl Weathers. That's a great movie.
Yeah, what a great trio.
Man,
you haven't seen it? Oh, it's awesome.
There's a great part. Charles Bronson. He's basically getting hunted by whatever authorities, and he's in a cabin. He comes out with like 2 rifles and like shoots double rifles at people.
Yeah, it's awesome. Jay, you love it. Maybe we should watch that for the next movie day or something.
We for sure can. Yeah. So we got The Crow, and then we got Masters, and then
University, and then something else.
Oh, you mean for the streamer just at your place? Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh yeah, your place, 100%. We'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that. So, although I want to watch a 4K on my new 4K player at some point.
Then we will. Yeah, if you can. Well, you can upgrade. Do you have it on Blu-ray? It'll.
It's only on DVD. As far as I don't know if there's like upgraded versions, but I will find it. But
it doesn't bother me. Sean and I have private conversations about this all the time. We just watch whatever garbage. I mean, we watched that Conquest on VHS, and I was like, "This is my favorite movie ever," and it looks awful. And then I got the 4K or the Blu-ray. I'm like, it still kind of looks awful, but I still love it.
Yeah, if you're hunting down movies, like I've been collecting movies since like childhood, and it's like it sometimes the only way you can watch something is not subtitled if it's like foreign or like a muddy VHS. So I'm used to it. I'm fine with it. I acknowledge that 4K is cool and all, but like I don't know, I'm okay with watching a muddy DVD or something.
Well, Warlords of Atlantis was fine.
It looked great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are some? So I guess maybe Sean is a movie hunter. What are some like recent finds or just kind of holy grail things that made you stop and say like you were happy to like holy shit and you found it?
Well, I find a lot of stuff online, right? So I don't know if you know Sultan Rahi, like a Pakistani action actor. He died in like I think the 80s, but he made a lot of crazy ass action movies where he fights like another guy played by Mustafa Qureshi, and whenever they fight, they do pretty much video game moves. They're like horizontal in the air, like kicking and stuff like that. And this is like before video games. So I love all that stuff. And I have the box set of Ramsey Brothers horror movies from India. Those come once in a blue moon. Mondo Macabro, they had a DVD set like about 15 years ago, and I missed out on it. And those DVDs went up to like $200. So when they released the Blu-ray last year of the same movies, I pounced on it.
You got to pre-order. This is the thing, and you got to pre-order. You got to pre-order this stuff right away.
Yeah.
Like when that He-Man came out, I was like, oh, you got to pre-order right. Like all of those Giallo movies now that I've gotten, like it's like you got to pre-order immediately. Like because they're never coming back, and then they're gone, and then it's on eBay for like $200 a pop. Like Zardoz, I missed out on Zardoz.
I still never seen that. We got to watch that at some point.
I know. I only have the DVD of it. I can't find it.
Zardoz with Sean Connery.
Yeah, Sean Connery.
Oh, in that outfit.
I love it. Yeah. I love it.
All right, my God, Eugene, are you standing?
I am.
You poor man. Right, let's wrap it up. So the poor
he's much younger than you are.
Yeah, young whippersnapper.
I can't stand for more than 3 minutes.
Yeah. Sometimes that makes a film for some AMC. Yeah, there's certain movies like I love watching like old movies, like horror movies that look amazing on VHS. Like the shittier a horror movie looks, the better it is. Like I love watching like Texas Chainsaw Massacre on VHS or whatever, or Halloween or whatever, and it just gives it almost more of a documentary feel whenever it looks like that.
Right.
It is tough. I think I saw RoboCop. I think I had a 4K screen or something like that, and you could just see it was a rubber suit. You know what I'm saying? Part of it. So it was like too high def. You know what I mean? You want that 80s grain. You know?
Yeah, the grain definitely does help.
And Double Impact. We talked about this on your stream. Double Impact. Like you can see that it's like, oh, that Chad is not there at all. Like he is like not there. Like he looks like a cartoon cutout. Like because it looks fine on because I've seen that movie 100 times. It looks great on great. It looks fine on VHS. You can't tell anything, and even on DVD, it's okay. Yeah. And then Blu-ray, you're like, ooh, this is already starting to look a little. And then 4K, I haven't seen, but I was already nervous of the Blu-ray, and I saw some. I don't know if they have it on 4K, but I saw even on Blu-ray, I'm like, this is like not looking as good. Like Bloodsport will look amazing because it's all right there in camera, right? Like that's gonna, Kickboxer is gonna look freaking awesome. Like anything like that's gonna look awesome. But if they're like, and Maximum Risk will look fine because they're never together. One Van Damme's dead.
That's true.
They're not together. But if they're together, you're like, and it looks great.
Everything's well done. Yeah.
Shit, I had a guy tell me at my work, he's like, "Oh, Van Damme has a twin brother or whatever." Who was I talking to about that? Was that
Rob? Was it Rob Van Damme, the wrestler?
Yeah, I don't know. And they thought that there's, and I was like, no, that's a fake Van Damme. Like, I mean, it's not fake Van Damme. Like, it's one man.
He's just played versions of himself like 5 times.
He's just
But it's very convincing at it. I mean, I've said this before. Like, Chad and Alex feel like two genuinely different people. And
Alex is like the greatest. Like,
Alex is the coolest man ever.
Is the coolest man ever. Like that's that period. Yeah, that's
just a fact. Yeah,
it's good acting. It's like he doesn't get enough credit for his acting.
No, he doesn't at all. And I think of the action stars, he's one of the better actors, I think. But
same thing with Stallone. I mean, a guy who writes, directs, stars, and is in bodybuilder shape. He doesn't get the notoriety, the accolades for doing that, right? And so we're talking about just the roles that he gave all the Rocky characters, and the role he gave to Carl Weathers, and Apollo, just his arc, right? Just like you watched him through 4 different movies, do 4 different things. You never got tired of him, right? So
he won an Oscar.
Yeah,
I wouldn't forget.
Yeah, Stallone.
Yeah, exactly. So. So I'm going to see if we can find Hurricane Smith, get that watched, and I'll do a write-up for that in the next few days. And then I want to rewatch those old Hulk Hogan, the Shadow Warriors as well, because Carlos not with it too. So I haven't seen them in a while.
I saw No Holds Barred in the theater, and we were just like, I can't believe we're like, this is the greatest movie ever.
This is amazing. Yeah, I hadn't seen it in years, and I watched it the other week. I was like, this movie is all right.
My mom took me to see that. She liked wrestling, and now I think back, I was like, why'd she like wrestling so much?
Because it's awesome.
It's long form. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say that girl is also in See No Evil, Hear No Evil. The actress is in both. I forgot her name now, but it was like everyone's like, oh my god, like she's so good looking. It's like she's in both movies, and I saw both in the theater. I'm like, my mom took me to see No Evil, Hear No Evil in the theater, and she also took me to see Miami Blues in the theater, which has nudity and pretty good. And my wife, my mom was trying to cover my eyes. I'm like, it's too late. I've seen it all. It's like firstly, there's no point covering my eyes. I've seen more than you could possibly imagine. Like I'm tainted. I watched Friday 13 Part 5 when I was 11 years old. Changed my life. I'm like, I can't watch these pity. I'm watching Akira. People are like, oh, I thought Lion King was a pretty good movie. I'm like, is it better than Akira? What's that? Exactly. Don't go away. It's like Ghost in the Shell. Like, I'm watching all these movies and they're talking about these little kitty things. I'm like, I'm dead. So she's just trying to cover my eyes. Like, it's over. It's like,
yeah.
I'm gonna pour a drink tonight. I'm gonna watch Action Jackson. I'm gonna classic with that.
Good idea. Yeah, I haven't actually watched that Blu-ray of Action Jackson yet. I think I'm gonna give maybe that a watch over the weekend. A little tribute there, but yeah, sad day for action fans. It was definitely. This is one of the sort of the great legends of action that we've lost today, and I think it's a genuine tragedy, and it's sort of the beginning of the end of that era of our action stars. So,
did we see this?
Yeah, I haven't seen the video yet. There's some really nice tributes though. Like Dolph did one as well. Yeah, I just don't know how to share things on here. Otherwise, I would have. You're the share guy, so
yeah, I won't be able to convert it in time. You can't do any kind of file. We could try to share the screen if you want and try to look at it, but sometimes the audio doesn't work.
No, that's okay.
And it'll shut the stream down.
Yeah. Oh, well, we don't need to do that. Yeah, I'm going to shut it down anyway. So
thanks for having me. I mean, always good to see you, Owen. Thanks for having me, guys. Nice to meet you, Sean and J-Man. We'll talk soon.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And rest in peace, Carl. We will miss you very much, and thank you for all your contributions to the action genre over the years. And if you are watching, remember, you are the action elite. R.I.P. Carl.